Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime with Shannon, where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Alright, so I'm trying to record this on my lunch break and see if I can get this out there. We are currently waiting for the jury. They are in deliberations for the Michael VALVA murder trial of Thomas VALVA. And let me go over the little bit of the updates that we have here. I did hear that they asked about an hour after their deliberations for the charges that they could consider. So we're going to see what's going on. I don't know if they're going to reach deliberation decision today, which is Friday, or if we're going to have to wait till Monday. But I'm thinking we're going to hear something today. I would actually be really surprised if we don't. So let me pull this up if I can here. A Suffolk jury Friday began deliberations in the murder trial of former NYPD officer Michael VALVA, who is accused of killing his 8-year-old son, Thomas, allegedly forcing the child to sleep in the garage of his Center Moriches home in freezing weather back in January 2020. Jurors got the case shortly after 11 a.m. when Supreme Court Justice William Condon instructed them for about 1 hour on the charges they could consider while trying to arrive at a verdict. Okay, so then right before 12 o'clock, they asked for information. So, they're actually stating it here, so let me continue reading here. Good luck, Condon told jurors before they left the courtroom to begin deliberations. You've been an outstanding panel. I know you've paid attention to every minute of it. I really hope they have. Shortly after filing into the jury deliberation room, jurors sent a note at 10:25 a.m. saying the jury is requesting a copy of the charges and definitions of the terms, which was read to us this morning. I don't know why they didn't already have that. Condon informed the panel he cannot provide them with a copy of the charges, but Condon reread the top count and lesser charges included charges back to the jury. I don't understand why they can't have the charges listed on a piece of paper. Maybe if someone who's legally knowledgeable in that area can explain that one. The jury then clarified it wanted a readback of the top charge of second-degree murder under the depraved indifference theory. They also wanted to hear the definition of second-degree manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. In the early afternoon, the jury sent another note asking for photos and videos. Deliberations came the day after prosecutors and defense attorneys delivered their closing arguments in a trial that began in early September with jury selection at Suffolk County Court in Riverhead. A Suffolk prosecutor told jurors during closing statements on Thursday that VALVA treated his 8-year-old son, Thomas, so poorly in the final moments of his life, screaming at him and striking him as he died of hypothermia, that he should be convicted of the top charge, second-degree murder. I completely agree with that. But VALVA's defense attorney argued none of the actions VALVA took that day demonstrated he wanted his son to die, but instead showed he made a valiant effort to save the boy's life. Oh, I disagree with that one. Assistant District Attorney Carrie Ann Kelly reminded jurors of the allegations. VALVA beat, starved, and emotionally abused his sons to placate his domineering former fiancée, Angela Polina. The abuse began, according to prosecutors, in 2017 after VALVA got custody of Thomas and his brothers, Anthony and Andrew, and they moved into their home on Bittersweet Lane in Center Moriches with Polina and her 3 daughters. Kelly began her summation by displaying a photo of a smiling Thomas, raising his exceptionally red hand in a thumbs-up gesture. The photo was taken by one of his teachers the day before he died. I really would like to see that photo, but then part of me doesn't want to see it. That's really sad. The coldness that was persuasive in Thomas's life is symbolic in that photo. A child that smiled despite the cruelness that waited for him at home, she said. He was dead just 24 hours later. VALVA attorney John Laturco admitted VALVA was an abusive father, but he said the former transit cop did not realize Thomas was in medical distress before he died. He urged the jury to convict VALVA of criminally negligent homicide, which carries a maximum sentence of 4 years in prison, rather than the second-degree murder, which could land VALVA in prison for 25 years to life. So what about Tommy? So he doesn't get to live his life, so why should Michael? With his hand on a seated Michael VALVA's right shoulder, Laturco began his summation with a sentiment that he and his fellow defense lawyers have repeatedly stated and that they believe would prevent VALVA from being convicted of second-degree murder under the legal theory of depraved indifference. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael VALVA never wanted Thomas to die, Laturco said to the jurors. Michael VALVA did not want Thomas to die, despite his horrible words, despite his parental deficiencies. Michael loved Thomas. I gotta say, I'm not so sure he really loved Thomas. Laturco pointed out to the jury the most critical time period of 9 minutes and 22 seconds in which a video from inside the house had no sound. That period of time, he said, was when housekeeper Tyrene Rodriguez testified she saw Thomas, VALVA, and Paulina walking from the garage to the basement. Prosecutors have disputed that, citing Rodriguez's earlier police statement that VALVA was cradling Thomas. Laturco mentioned a 10-minute time period between about 9:41 a.m. when VALVA called 911, when he said the video was also completely missing. Yet what happened to that video? I think they deleted it. Laturco questioned why the prosecution didn't call several witnesses, including a police sergeant who spoke to Rodriguez soon after Thomas was taken to the hospital in an ambulance, calling that conversation, quote, the best evidence of what happened. Laturco also questioned why the prosecutors didn't call workers from Child Protective Services. Where are they? Laturco asked. This is one of the few things I will agree with the defense on. Where's the CPS workers? Why didn't they testify? They are just as much at fault. On Thursday, Kelly showed the jury a video clip of VALVA beating one of his sons and another of Anthony shivering as he slept on the cold floor. In another clip, the boys are sitting cross-legged on the garage floor, eating dinner from paper plates. Kelly also showed text messages between VALVA and Paulina, including one where VALVA said, "Okay, I'll beat them up again. Talking don't work. Maybe a bloody face will." What a nice guy. VALVA, 43, charged with second-degree murder and 4 counts of child endangerment, had pled not guilty to the charges. On Thursday, Laturco agreed with prosecutors that VALVA was guilty of child endangerment, but not the second-degree murder, which could land the ex-cop in prison for 25 years to life. Well, I think he deserves it. Of course, that's my opinion. Condon ruled on Tuesday that the jury could consider second-degree manslaughter charge, which is punishable by 5 to 15 years in prison, or criminally negligent homicide. All right, while I really want them to get that second-degree murder, if they have to, I'd rather have them go to the 5 to 15 if they can't get the first main charge that the state wants. But I really hope that they get the first charge. Paulina, also charged with second-degree murder and 4 counts of child endangerment, has pleaded not guilty and is expected to face trial sometime early next year. Laturco argued that VALVA's cruelties did not make him a murderer and that he did not realize his actions would lead to Thomas's death. Anthony had been banished to the garage more frequently than Thomas, including the night before Thomas died, Laturco said. Let's remember, Anthony suffered no ill effects of being in the garage, Laturco said. That's what they think. I'm sure there's a lot of emotional and mental scars in Anthony, at least. In her closing statement, Kelly challenged Laturco's assertion that VALVA loved Thomas. After Thomas's death, she said VALVA did not send any text messages saying that he loved Thomas or missed him. Instead, Kelly pointed out he sent a video game link to his friend on the day his son died. And she said he texted a police union official to get 5 pizzas and make sure you get the ones with the garlic knot crust. Yeah, because that's much more important than your son being dead. Your pizza and your garlic knots. 4 days after Thomas's death, he was not feeling regret or remorse over his son, Kelly said. He had a complete and utter disdain for Thomas's life, and once Thomas died, all he cared about was his life and Angela's life. Attacking a main theme of the defense's summation, Kelly said it was irrelevant that he didn't want his son to die, and detailed how VALVA's words and actions that day were depraved. Kelly also urged the jury to dismiss the testimony of Dr. Ken Zaffron, an Alaska-based doctor and hypothermia expert, who said Thomas went into cardiac arrest that morning because VALVA put him into a warm bath, which contributed to his hypothermia. Thomas was already suffering from severe to profound hypothermia that morning, Kelly said, and it wasn't caused by some silly bath or shower. I completely agree with Kelly on this one. Kelly also poised that VALVA lied about giving Thomas a bath that morning, pointing out that there was no water in the tub. Yeah, that was the first time we heard about it from the defense. The shower is just a cover-up from what he did in the backyard, Kelly said. The defendant was obsessed with Angela Polina, so much so that he put the children under her to the detriment of his children, Kelly said. He did not want that relationship to end. Yeah, she's his money train. He had financial troubles, and if he has to give up his children to live better, he's going to stay with this abusive woman. Polina and VALVA were back in bed together in their home on Bittersweet Lane when police came to their house to arrest them on January 24th, 2020, Kelly noted. Thomas's backpack, with his name written in pen, was still on the garage floor, where it had been left the morning he died, Kelly said. It was kind of belonging that any loving, grieving parent would have latched onto, she said. So if he really cared, he would have taken care of Thomas's, whatever was left of Thomas's belongings. It meant nothing to him, Kelly said of the backpack, just like Thomas. So at this point, we're waiting for the deliberations for the jury. I'm praying and hoping that they're going to see this face and see this little 8-year-old. He was not protected whatsoever, and his father is a horrific, horrific man, and he deserves that 25 years in prison. Thomas was 8 years old. He's never going to live another day. Why should Michael have any kind of freedom at all at this point? He's 43, so he should be in jail for at least 25 years, if not life. That's my opinion on it. So, yeah. So basically, that's our update right now. It kind of summarized the closings as well, in that I'm trying to get this put out there before the jury comes back, so that you guys can keep caught up. Sadly, this has not been, there's really nowhere to follow this case besides Newsday and the Patchogue Patch and some occasional tweets that come out. I don't know why this case never hit. They're just not allowing video, and I think it really sucks. So I would love to see more video when Angela comes into play her trial next year, but I'm pretty sure we're going to hit the same wall. We're not going to get anything but what we're getting right now, which is crumbs out of this stuff. And I'm thankful for Newsday and the Patchogue Patch that are at least reporting on this case. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.